Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. My name is Matt and I like video games. And in today's video I'll be discussing some recent rumors surrounding Xbox's July event, so stay tuned. So we've all been anxiously waiting for Xbox's July event, an event where Xbox is supposed to be showing off both their announced and unannounced first-party games. And we've only known about this event for a few months, but at this point it's starting to feel like we've been waiting for years.
It's been 84 years.
And because of all the hype surrounding this event, it should come as no surprise that many people have their own theories and speculations as to what we will see at this event. And I'm no exception to this. In fact, I'll put a link in the description for my video on what I expect to be at the July event, which by the way is easily my most viewed video on my entire channel, so thank you guys very much for watching that video and leaving your comments and likes. I really appreciate it. But my point for this video is that with all the hype surrounding this event, the rumors are really starting to pick up steam during these last few weeks. And there are two rumors that I want to discuss. Well, actually, I guess it's one rumor about two games that I would like to discuss. So let's get started. Recently, Tom Warren from The Verge posted a tweet about two placeholder accounts for two different games. One game being Fable and the other game being Perfect Dark. Now, I'm going to start with Fable and then we'll tackle Perfect Dark later on in the video because I've got my own theory on that. I will say that I fully expect to see Fable at the Xbox July event. I just don't know in what capacity it will be there. Will they show a trailer for a proper reboot or a continuation of Fable 3? I don't know. I don't have much experience with Fable 2 and 3, but I do know that I love Fable 1 on the original Xbox. I think it's one of the better RPGs, especially when you consider the time it was made and the console it was made for. I do know from talking to my friends and other people in the community that Fable 2 was kind of the high point for the series, and Fable 3 is generally regarded as the low point in the series. Now, I'll have to try those games out on back compat on my Xbox One X, but if this is true, then I'd expect a full reboot of the series. I've read things on Twitter and Reddit that suggest that Playground Games will be going for a more realism while still maintaining what makes a Fable game a Fable game. And as for my opinion on this, I'm all for it. I'm 100% on board with just about any RPG as long as it has some cool customization and some relatively diverse side quests, which is one of the things that I loved about The Witcher 3. I think it'd also be cool to see if they keep the core features that made Fable 1 through 3 so enjoyable. I'd like to see a more modern take on the good versus evil system in the earlier games and how your actions could affect entire regions of the map, for better or worse. I think this stuff could be amplified even more as regions get bigger and more dense with more NPCs thanks to the bump in CPU power next gen. All in all, this rumor has me hyped and I'm really looking forward to what Playground Games can do with Fable. And next up, we're moving on to the topic of a possible Perfect Dark reboot. I think it'd be a welcome addition to the lineup of Xbox's first-party titles, and the thought is that the initiative would be in charge of the Perfect Dark reboot. And while this would certainly make sense and would definitely be pretty cool, I'm not 100% sure that I believe it yet. I mean, I can't help but have the feeling that the initiative are working on something completely new. It's just a feeling that I have for some reason that I can't seem to shake. And if that were the case, well then who would be making this Perfect Dark reboot, you might ask? Well, I have a theory that the Coalition would be an excellent studio to reboot the Perfect Dark series. And before I say what I'm about to say, I want you guys to know that this is just a theory. I have no facts to back this up. This is just a theory that I have bouncing around in my head. And with that being said, let's continue to my theory. Now, I know the Coalition's sole purpose up to this point has been to make Gears and Gears related things, but just hear me out for a second. There aren't many studios who do third-person shooters better than the Coalition, and after both Gears 5 and Gears Tactics within a year of each other, I think it would certainly make sense to give the Coalition a different IP to work on between Gears Tactics and Gears 6. And like I've said before on this channel, I loved Gears 5 to death, but at this point it's just kinda hard to imagine what that studio can do with Gears 6. I mean, do they just take the same gameplay mechanics, adjust it for next gen, change up the story a bit, and slap a 6 onto it? I mean, if that's the case, then it'll do absolutely fine. It'll be a solid game that core Gear fans, including myself, will love, but I feel like if they want to capture a bigger audience, they might have to do a full-on reboot of the Gear series. And reboots take some serious time. Look at the gap between God of War Ascension and God of War 2018. It's almost a 5-year gap for a proper reboot. Also, look at what 343 is doing with Halo Infinite, which is already confirmed to be a spiritual reboot of the series. And if all goes according to plan, it will be released almost exactly 5 years after Halo 5 Guardians. I'm saying all of this to say that I feel like if the Coalition had another IP to sink their teeth into creatively, then they'd likely come back to the next Gears of War project feeling refreshed and full of new big ideas. But at the end of the day, this is all just my theory. This is not substantiated by any facts, or I don't have any proof to suggest that they are doing this. It's just my own theory. All in all, I think Perfect Dark is definitely a welcome addition to Xbox's first-party titles, regardless of who would be working on it. Now, both of these placeholder Twitter accounts have been acknowledged by Aaron Greenberg, who is in charge of Xbox Games marketing at Microsoft. He says that he's sorry to get everyone's hopes up, but these placeholder accounts have been inactive for years, and that it's quote-unquote standard practice to secure social handles for our IP. Now, that all sounds well and good, but when you take into consideration that both of these accounts were made within the past 4 months, it kind of disproves his whole explanation on how they've been inactive for years. This very well could be Aaron Greenberg's way of trying to throw people off the scent, but honestly, I think people are so hungry for any Xbox games news that just isn't gonna work at this point. But what do you guys think about these rumors? I feel like we all kind of expect a Fable game at this point, but what are your opinions on it, and how do you think it should be done? And what are your opinions on the possibility of Perfect Dark being brought back to life after nearly 15 years of dormancy? Leave a comment below and tell me what you're thinking. Like the video if you liked it, and please subscribe if you would be so kind. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.